Her arrogant children turned her into a maid and threw her out of her own mansion the moment she lost her wealth. But what they didn't know was that everything was a test, and what she did to them next will shock you. If you are just tuning into this channel, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. And tell us where you are watching from. Madam Adesua Falei, aka Mama Cash, and Carrie sat at her mahogany desk in the quiet of her study, her eyes fixed on the wall like something was written there. Her wrapper shimmered faintly. Her blouse was neatly tucked in. She looked like someone who had an important meeting ahead, but there was nothing in her calendar. She wasn't going anywhere. She hadn't moved in nearly an hour. She just sat there, one hand resting under her chin, the other limp by her side. She wasn't blinking. She wasn't breathing deeply. She was just still. Something was burning quietly in her chest. At 69, she had everything. 3 warehouses, 6 fully stocked shops, a mansion that made passers-by slow down and take pictures. Her name was power in the market. Her face was familiar on TV. Her wealth fed not just her family, but many others. But even with all the money, all the respect, all the properties, all the staff that greeted her, "Good morning, Mom," with 2 hands folded, none of it could hide the growing shame in her chest. Because despite everything she had achieved, her children were useless. She closed her eyes slowly, and pain began to crawl up from her stomach to her throat. Memories flooded her. Her husband had died when the children were still little. Barely 2 weeks after the burial, his family threw her out. No warning, no mercy. She carried her son and daughter, one on her back, the other in her arms, and left with nothing but a Ghana must-go bag in disgrace. She remembered sleeping on the floor in someone's boys' quarters, frying a kara with a baby tied to her back, crying quietly inside crowded Danfo buses, carrying bales of fabric on her head in the sun, drinking Gary just so her children could eat rice. She remembered entering overdraft every other month to pay school fees, skipping birthdays, borrowing from friends, lying awake at night praying the landlord wouldn't embarrass her in front of her children. She remembered fasting for 21 days just to raise money for WAEC. She built her empire from nothing, from a single table in Oshodi Market to containers from China. She became the woman everyone admired, the one that built a name without a man, the one that conquered Lego's fabric business. She built her mansion with her own hands. She paid cash for every block, every tile, every gate. And now she was sitting in that same house, surrounded by 2 grown adults who couldn't even lift a finger to help her sweep. Her son, Tosin, had been her pride. She put him in the best schools, she paid in dollars, flew him abroad for summer. The day he graduated, she cooked 5 coolers of rice and danced like someone who had just won a visa. He came home and told her proudly that he didn't want to work for anybody. "I want to be a businessman like you, Mummy," he said, with confidence in his voice and foolishness in his heart. He said he wanted to start a tire importation business. He asked for 3.5 million naira. She gave him 5 million naira. 3 months later, the business disappeared. Just like that. No report, no update, nothing. Before she could even ask questions, he returned with another idea. "Mummy, crypto is booming. Just 5 million naira. It'll turn to 30 million naira by December." She gave it to him again. The money vanished faster than the tire business. After that came perfumes, then gym equipment, then a laundry pickup app. Each one more ridiculous than the last. Every time she gave him millions, and every time he failed. Still, he wore designer clothes and told her, "It's not failure, Mummy. It's experience." Experience that was swallowing her money like beans. Her daughter, Teniola, wasn't any better. She came back from university and said she had found her passion, lifestyle influencing. "Mummy, I just need a ring light, a good camera, and a backdrop. I want to do beauty and fashion content." Adesua didn't understand the job, but she gave her everything she asked for. She even converted a guest room into a studio and asked her staff to help set it up. 6 months later, Tenny dropped the ring light and said it was too hard. "Nobody is liking my posts," she complained. Next week, she said she wanted to start selling bags and shoes online. Adesua gave her 1.5 million naira. 1 month into the business, every single bag she was supposed to sell had been styled and worn by her. When her mother asked where the stock went, she replied, "I had to model them now." Adesua almost used one of the bags to model her head. Then came the final straw. Tosin got a girl pregnant. When Adesua confronted him, he said he wasn't ready for marriage, that he was still figuring out his life. "You're not ready?" she asked, her voice calm. "But your sperm was ready. You planted cassava. Now the harvest is here and you're hiding." She dragged him to the girl's family and arranged a small introduction. 1 month later, the girl moved into the mansion. And that's when Adesua started to see hell. The girl would leave plates in the sink. She'd watch TV from morning to night. She started walking around in bum shorts and crop tops, raising her voice like she was the madam of the house. One day she said, "Mummy, can we change this couch? It's giving old school." Adesua nearly collapsed. As if that wasn't enough, her daughter came back home one Saturday afternoon with her own baby in a traveling bag. "Mummy, I've left my husband," she said confidently. "He was treating me like a maid. I was cooking, sweeping. Me? Baby girl like me?" Adesua looked at her, looked at the child, and said nothing. So now the mansion was full. 2 grown children, 1 loud daughter-in-law, 3 grandchildren, and only one person buying food, paying bills, and managing everything. The same woman who built it all from scratch. Every night she would hear them laughing, watching movies, scrolling through TikTok. Meanwhile, her bank account was becoming slimmer by the day. One night, she sat at her desk, placed her hand under her chin, and whispered, "I built this life with blood, and now I'm being drained by the very people I bled for." She reached into her drawer, picked up an old business card, Barrister Fola, Will, Estate and Property Consultant. She picked up her phone and dialed. "Hello, Barrister, it's Adesua. I want to do something. I want to test my children." She paused for a moment. "If they fail, I will deal with them the way life never did." It started one evening. Quiet, calculated, like theater. Madame Adesua Fallet returned home and slammed the door harder than usual. Her wrapper was loose. Her scarf was sitting somehow on her head, like she had wrestled with the wind. Her handbag dropped to the floor like it too had given up. Before anyone could ask questions, she burst into tears. "Ah, I'm finished. Oh, I'm ruined. Everything is gone." The house scattered. Tosin ran down the stairs shirtless. Tenny rushed from her room, one eyelash already off. Kioma, the daughter-in-law, paused her YouTube cooking video and came to the parlor with oil still on her fingers. "Mummy, what happened? Mummy, talk to us now. Mummy, please don't scare us like this. What happened?" Adesua sat on the center couch, threw her head back, and wailed louder. "They finished me. Oh, my sweat, my blood, everything I built with my hands. It's gone." Tenny knelt beside her. "Mummy, who did this to you?" She sniffed and turned slowly, looking at each of them one by one. "There was a fire," she whispered. "A big one." They all gasped. She wiped her nose dramatically with the edge of her wrapper. "It started in Oshodi. Nobody knows what caused it. But once it began, hoodlums entered the market. They broke shops. They looted everything. My warehouse, everything inside, gone. Even the container I just ordered from China last week. My entire savings was in it." She raised her voice again. "They've ruined me." The living room fell silent. Even the house help hiding in the hallway paused. "Mummy, so what are we going to do now?" Tosin asked, voice shaky. She looked at him slowly. "What do you mean, what are we going to do? Are you not a man? Are you not my first son?" He blinked. "I only have this house left," she continued, "and my car. Everything else is ashes. The account is empty." Silence again. Then Tenny broke it. "Mummy, but my birthday is next week." Adesua turned her head slowly like a lioness. "You said?" Tenny lowered her voice. "Nothing." Then Tosin cleared his throat. "Mummy, about my son's birthday next month. We already printed banner and..." Adesua stood up. "You're both talking about birthdays when I'm telling you I've lost my life's work? This is how I know I failed as a mother." She left them standing there, still shocked, and dragged her bag up the stairs without looking back. The next morning, she didn't come down for breakfast. Nobody heard her move. By afternoon, the driver announced he had been relieved of duty. By evening, all domestic staff had packed their bags. Madame Adesua said she couldn't pay salaries anymore. And just like that, a house that once ran like a mini hotel turned into a silent grave. Everyone assumed the children would adjust. They didn't. They waited. The second day, she stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling like something was crawling across it. Her mind was far. Her chest was heavy. Her voice missing. Tenny tiptoed into her room. "Mummy, you're not going to the market today." Adesua didn't turn her head. "There is no market to go back to," she said quietly. "It's gone. Everything is gone." That was the moment it hit them. The buffet was closed, and that's when the real drama began. By the end of the first week, the house felt different. The food reduced, the TV went silent, the laughter dried up, and one by one everyone started looking for a way to protect themselves. Tenny stopped wearing wigs. She started carrying her child around like an emotional support handbag. She would sigh loudly while scrolling through Instagram, waiting for one of her soft life friends to post a giveaway. Tosin stayed mostly in the backyard. When he came inside, it was either to charge his phone or complain about heat. Adesua, despite everything, still woke up early. She swept the compound. She washed the dishes. She mopped the living room floor. One morning while she was sweeping under the couch, Tosin simply lifted his legs without looking up from his phone, as if that was normal. Chioma sat on the armrest sipping tea and scrolling, while the children ran past with muddy feet, shouting. Tenny came out of her room, stood in front of the full-length mirror beside the dining area, and said casually, "Mummy, shift small. Let me use mirror." Adesua slowly moved aside, broom still in hand. That day, she didn't say a word. She just continued sweeping with tears sitting quietly in her throat. Chioma was the first to fully show her true colors. She went to the market one morning, bought stew ingredients, and cooked one bubbling pot of jollof rice. The aroma filled the house. Everyone thought she was finally stepping up, until she served only her husband, her children, and herself. Not one spoon left for the woman who built the kitchen. She washed the pot, cleaned the plates, and returned to her room like she had completed a UN mission. Adesua sat at the dining table that night, drinking pap and biting dry groundnut, her eyes watery from more than just pepper. The next day, Tenny did worse. She returned from the eatery with one big takeout pack, entered her room, closed the door, and shared the food with her son. When Adesua knocked softly and asked if she could have some, Tenny said, "Mummy, it was just small. I didn't even eat well." That night, she took her BP drugs with water and banana. No protein, no fruit, just silence. The grandchildren no longer greeted her properly. The staff were gone. The fridge was empty. The silence was loud. But she didn't shout. She didn't fight. She was watching. The second week passed, then the third. Nobody tried to help her. Nobody asked how she was feeding. Nobody checked her wallet. And then one morning she woke up feeling hot and weak. She had a fever, a dry cough, and a pounding headache. She called Tosin to help her go to the hospital. He said, "Mummy, you know money is tight now. Maybe just rest and take paracetamol." She nodded slowly and watched him walk away. Later that day, she wore her shoes by herself, walked slowly down the street, and begged the pharmacist next to her estate to give her medicine on credit. The same woman who once donated 2 generators to the health center was now begging for malaria drugs like a stranger. That night, as she lay in bed, her fingers trembling, her body aching, she said only one thing under her breath. "God, they failed." It started quietly. A few days after Adesua dragged herself to the pharmacy, weak and trembling, to beg for malaria drugs on credit, her body began to recover. She was still fragile, still coughing in the mornings, but at least she could now sweep without holding the wall for support. You would think that her children would be concerned. You would think they would notice how pale her face looked. But no. That week, instead of care, she started receiving instructions. "Mummy, please, I don't like the way the floor is smelling," Tenny said one morning, sipping a smoothie and scrolling through her phone. "Can you mop it again and try and use Dettol this time?" Adesua just stared. It didn't stop there. The daughter-in-law, Pamela, walked past her in the kitchen and rolled her eyes. "You left plate inside sink since morning. Are we now living like pigs in this house? Her voice was loud, too loud. Edisuwa turned slowly from the pot of rice she was monitoring. Excuse me, who are you talking to? Oh, please, Pamela waved her hand. If you want to be living here, at least try and be useful. Abby, you expect me to cook for you too? I'm not your housemaid, oh. Adesua was shaking, not from fear, from rage. She turned to her son. Tosin, you heard what your wife said to me just now? Tosin didn't even lift his head from the PlayStation controller. Mama, I beg just leave AM. Pamela has been stressed lately. Adesua blinked. I am your mother. Yes, but you can't be expecting people to be cooking and cleaning for you all the time. You said you don't have money again, nah. So everybody should pitch in. Adesua looked around the house she built, the tiles she handpicked from Italy, the chandelier she imported from Dubai, the paint colors she argued with engineers over for 2 weeks. Now they were telling her to pitch in. She kept quiet until that hot Thursday afternoon. Tenny barged into the living room with an attitude that could shake a table. She was wearing a crop top and shorts, a scarf tied carelessly on her head. Mummy, please, shift. I want to use that mirror. I have a video to shoot. Adesua looked up from the chair where she was folding some old wrappers. Video? What kind of video? Mummy, I beg, don't stress me. TikTok video. You won't understand. Adesua kept quiet. Then Tenny added, under her breath but loud enough, some mothers are enjoying soft life. Me, I now have to share a mirror with an old woman that has turned our house to face me. I face you. Adesua snapped. She stood up, wrapper falling to the floor. Everybody come out now. Tosin, Pamela, all of you come out now. They came one by one, groggy and unbothered. What is it again, Mummy? Tosin said. Adesua pointed at each of them. I am still your mother. I am the reason you have roof over your head. This house you walk around like you own it. I built it with my 2 hands, with my tears and my blood. Tenny scoffed. Pamela rolled her eyes, and Tosin just laughed. And Mummy, this same house that you built in my name? This same house where the documents say Tosin Falai? Adesua froze. Yes. You think we don't know your plan before? You were planning to control us forever. Well, not anymore. You're old. You're broke. You're a liability. You should even be grateful we let you stay this long. What did you just say to me? Her voice cracked. Pamela stepped forward. We've talked about it as a family. You should move out. You need rest. Go and stay in one old people's home. Let us handle the house. We need our peace. Adesua stood there, mouth wide open. Then Tenny stormed out and came back minutes later with a suitcase. She entered her mother's room, flung open the wardrobe, and started packing clothes like a crazy tailor in Oshodi Market. Adesua followed her. Tenny, what are you doing? Helping you pack, of course. Isn't that what you want? You want peace? We want peace. It's mutual. Tosin came in next, picked up the bag, and dragged it to the living room. Mummy, please, leave with your dignity. Don't make this more embarrassing than it already is. Pamela opened the front door and said, Let breeze touch your body, Ma. Fresh air is good for the elderly. Adesua didn't say a word. She walked slowly to the door, picked up her wrapper, and stepped out. The gate closed behind her. Silence. Minutes later, she checked into a 5-star hotel, ordered jollof rice and goat meat, lay on a bed that didn't squeak, and cried for 2 hours straight. It had been a full week since Adesua Falay was thrown out of her own house like a common squatter. 7 whole days since her own daughter, Teniola, packed her clothes into a faded traveling box like she was evicting a troublesome tenant. Since Tosin, her first son, the one she carried for 9 months and breastfed with cracked nipples, grabbed that same box, opened the gate, and tossed it into the street like garbage. And all she could do was stand there frozen, wrapper half-tied, mouth open in disbelief. That was the day she became a stranger to the mansion she built. Now she sat in a luxury suite at Providence Heights Hotel, where the air conditioner hummed louder than her thoughts. The white duvet felt like snow. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but her posture was straight, sharp, unshaken. Her untouched meal of jollof rice and grilled chicken sat beside her, cold, just like the silence that surrounded her. And still, not a single call from Tosin, not one message from Teniola, not even a text saying, "Mummy, are you okay?" Instead, she had received bills from the estate manager asking her to come pay service charge, and news from her friend Madame Bunmi that her children were now bragging in public. "We now own the Banana Island house." Adesua laughed bitterly. She wiped her eyes, picked up her phone, and dialed. "Barrister Fola, good evening." The lawyer's voice came through, calm and polite. "Good evening, Madame Falai." She didn't waste time. "Come to my hotel room tomorrow morning. Bring your files. Bring everything. I want to rewrite my will." There was a long pause. "Are you sure, Ma?" "You sound upset." "I'm not upset," she replied quietly. "I'm finally ready." By 10 a.m. the next morning, Barrister Fola arrived with a briefcase and calm eyes. He met Adesua seated by the floor-to-ceiling window, dressed in soft blue silk and sipping pineapple juice. Her face was freshly powdered, but you could still see the puffiness beneath her eyes. She didn't offer him a seat. She simply turned and said, "Write this down. From today onward, Tosin Falai is no longer my next of kin." The pen paused midair. "Remove him. Remove Teniola too. In fact, remove all of them. I have given birth, I have breastfed, I have clothed, I have trained, I have suffered, and they repaid me by throwing me out of my own house." She stood up, walked slowly toward the lawyer. "I want my new next of kin to be the foundation I've been planning for years. The Adesua Falaya Women of Strength Foundation. Everything, my shops, my properties, my estate, will go there." Fola tried to blink the shock away. "Madam, are you sure you want to disinherit your children?" Adesua smiled, but the pain didn't leave her eyes. "Barrister, let me tell you something. The poor I helped in the market treated me better than my own children. From today, my sweat will serve those who will never call me liability." And with that, she signed the document. The pen didn't shake once. 1 week later. Banana Island Estate had never seen such a convoy on a Wednesday morning. Adesua didn't come back alone. She arrived in a black Prado SUV, flanked by a second vehicle. Inside that second vehicle, Barrister Fola, dressed in black suit and holding her new will, 2 police officers, armed with a court order. As they parked in front of the mansion, Tosin stepped out in boxers and rubber slippers, holding a toothbrush. He froze. Teniola came downstairs in her wig cap and short wrapper, still scrolling TikTok on her phone. Adesua stepped out of the SUV like royalty. Her lace gown was wine red. Her head tie was packed high. Her eyes cold. Nobody said a word, until Barrister Fola brought out the envelope and said, "You are both hereby served a 7-day quit notice. This property, according to legal documents, has been reclaimed by the rightful owner, Madame Adesua Falaya." Teniola screamed, "Mummy, Mummy, please! We didn't mean to." Adesua raised one hand. "Keep your sorry." She turned to Tosin. "You said I should just die, right? That you were waiting for me to go so you could inherit everything?" She opened her handbag, brought out 2 sealed envelopes. "Here, 20 million naira for each of you, that's all. Go and build your own empire. But as for this house, my name, my legacy, you will never touch it again." Tosin fell to his knees. Teniola followed. They cried, begged, screamed. Adesua didn't flinch. "I gave birth to you, but I will not be buried by you." Then she looked at the officers. "Escort them out." As her children were led out of the compound, their heads low, Teniola still sobbing and Tosin whispering, "Mummy, please." Adesua stepped into her mansion slowly. The marble floor felt cold under her feet. The chandelier still glittered. The scent of betrayal still lingered. She closed the door gently behind her, turned the key, and said to no one in particular, "You wanted me gone. Now live without me." 2 weeks after Madame Adesua kicked her children out of the mansion, Lagos didn't hear the last of it. Tosin and Teniola packed their bags with fake pride, rejected the 20 million their mother gave each of them, and stormed out like they had a plan. The son, with his wife and children in tow, went to squat with a friend. Tenny found space with an old classmate who gave her side-eye every time she opened the fridge. But they were determined to prove their mother wrong. Tosin launched T-Connect Tires, a new tire importation business with borrowed capital from one of his old crypto friends. Tenny, on the other hand, dusted off her Instagram and announced Tenny Lux, a new online boutique. Both businesses were dead before they even started. Tosin imported the wrong tire size. His goods got stuck at the port, and the customs officer he tried to bribe ended up swindling him. Tenny spent more time taking pictures than fulfilling orders. Customers dragged her online for delays, fake products, and disappearing after collecting deposits. In less than 2 months, they were both broke, frustrated, and hungry. The same children who used to say, "We're grown now. Mummy can't control us," were now whispering, "Maybe we should go back and beg." And beg they did. They returned to the Banana Island mansion one Saturday morning, standing at the gate like strangers. They wore clothes that had lost their shine, and their eyes were sunken with reality. "Gate man, please tell Mummy we're here," Tenny said, voice trembling. The gate man didn't even flinch. He stepped back inside and returned with a short message. "Madam say, make I throw Una out." They stood there stunned. Tosin tried to call her line, switched off. Tenny sent long apology texts, no reply. They tried again the next day, and the next week, nothing. So they switched strategy. They brought in their pastor, then their former Sunday school teacher, then their mother's cousin from the village. Community leaders from Osun State came with wrappers tied high and Bible verses on their lips. "Mama Adasuwa, forgive them. Blood is blood." Even the estate chairman's wife came once, sipping malt slowly in the living room as she pleaded on their behalf. It took 3 months, 3 full months of begging, until one Tuesday evening, Adasuwa told the gate man, "Let them in." They entered quietly, kneeling before her in the parlor. Tenny cried like rain. Tosin wiped tears with his shirt sleeve. "Mummy, we have suffered," Tosin whispered. "Mummy, we've learnt," Tenny added. "Please forgive us." Adasuwa said nothing for a long time. Then she asked, "Have you truly learnt what it means to suffer? What it means to work with your hands?" They nodded quickly. "Good," she said, "because my forgiveness is free, but my inheritance, it's gone." They looked up, confused. "I've given everything to charity," she said plainly. "Every single thing. This house, now owned by a foundation. My shops, leased to an orphanage. You threw me out. So now, the people who have never had mothers will enjoy what I built." "Mummy," Tenny gasped. "Mama, please." Tosin started. She raised her hand. "I've forgiven you, but I want you to learn to stand. Stand without me. Stand without what I built. Build your own legacy. Let your children respect you for what you created, not what you collected." They cried, they begged. But this time, there was no turning back. The prodigal children had returned, and though the doors were open, the inheritance was gone. From that day forward, Tosin and Tenny worked harder than they ever had. And Adeswa? She smiled quietly from her balcony, sipping Zobo in the evening breeze. "Let them grow," she whispered. "Let them become someone, finally." She handed them the same 20 million naira each, the one they previously rejected. "Use it wisely this time. This is your seed. Grow it yourself." She told them one evening, and they wept again. But this time there was peace in the crying. This was now their reality, and they had no choice but accept it with their full chest. Thank you for watching. What do you think of this story? Do you think Madam Adasuwa went too far? Let me know of your thoughts in the comment section below. Until I bring another intriguing story your way. Bye for now.